All right. We are recording this session. Well, again, good evening, everybody. This is the iPhone SIG for June 23rd, 2020. And boy, was that an interesting WWDC or what? There was more information than I think my brain has enough room to absorb. I don't know about you, if those of you who watched it. But there is going to be a lot to talk about tonight. I'm going to try to get to a lot of this stuff, and really what I want to do is I did screenshots of some of the images of what was in the presentation, and kind of want to just kind of go over it real quick as far as that goes. A little housekeeping. Just again, we made everybody a panelist, so you have the ability to be able to unmute your mic to ask a question. If you can, if you would raise your hand if you have a question, and or you can type it in the chat, and we can surely open up your mic and have you read off that question.
Yeah, raise your Zoom hand, please, because I can't see everybody on screen. So if you raise your Zoom hand,
there is a Zoom hand in there if anybody's or should be familiar with that. So please do that, and I want to make this a little more interactive compared to our previous meetings, just because we miss having that voice interaction, and this will be a lot of fun. So with that, let me go ahead and share my screen, and I'm going to bring up a graphic here. Just a moment. Yeah, cool. Let's bring my windows up here. Give me a moment. Start with this. Okay. All right. Now let me share my screen. And you can see my screen now?
Yes, sir.
Very good. So this was the graphic that actually first came up when Greg Federici came up. These are all the OSs. So there's 5 of them, and we have to, well, we're not going to be talking about Mac, of course. We'll be talking about 4 of them. So iOS, iPad OS, Watch OS, and TV OS. Like I said, I thought it was, boy, it was some information overload, and they were going really, really fast. I did a reaction time episode on for Mac Eyes Only yesterday, and boy, it was a challenge to keep up. I could tell you that. So we have a lot to talk about, so let's go ahead and dig in on that, and we'll start with iOS. The good thing here is I actually have, surprise, an iPhone that has iOS 14 on it. So I'm going to actually be able to show you live what some of the new features are, and we'll kind of go through them. So here is the grid that was shown on the video here, and so we'll kind of go through a lot of this stuff. We'll probably start with app library, and I'll hit upon some of these topics and just kind of talk about them briefly. Some of these things I will not do a demo of, and then some of these things I'll be skipping just because there's just so much to cover. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm also going to use the iOS preview page that, of course, I don't have open. I did, and now I don't. Oh, never fails. It's because I was playing around and shouldn't have been. Okay, give me 1 second. This one. If anybody hasn't gone to this page already, I highly recommend doing that. So this is iOS 14. Let's just kind of go through this, and I'm going to bring the camera up here. I'll bring the iPhone up so you can kind of see what it's all about. As you saw, the screens were really refreshed. I think it does look brand new, like a refreshed view. And of course, all the stuff that's on here is all marketing, so I'm not going to go into too much of the marketing. But the experience, I definitely will say, is interesting to say the least. Let me bring up the phone here and actually show you in real time here. I'm going to move this over so we can see both screens here. One of the things is you can see here right away is the widgets. Now the widgets have changed quite a bit, and you can actually customize these widgets. So here are some of the widgets that are on the phone now, and they give you some neat things in Wing, being able to actually drag and drop the widgets into different places. So let's say I want to take this weather one, and I want to drag it onto my home screen here. Now look at that. I was able to make that on here. Now this is going to be on one of my screens all the time. So you weren't. This is something brand new. You could tap and then it brings you right into the weather here. Um, Other ways of doing this, you can actually tap and hold this, and you can edit the widget if you want to change location in the weather app. And of course, that makes it different. But even more so, if you actually go and edit the home screen, if you tap the plus up here, this is a way to be able to search for widgets and also bring other widgets up here if you want to add whatever you want here. Now, they do have a feature here called Smart Stack, and what this does is it's going to actually stack specific widgets in here. And again, remember this is beta, so it could be some buggy things here. So if we add this up here and then I close this out, then the stack will actually show you with different activities. And then again, this phone doesn't have a lot of stuff on it, so as you see, it's going to kind of give you ways of swiping through it. So very cool way of being able to do these widgets is by putting them in place. Like if you follow the stock market, if you want to bring that over, you can scan this over here. You also can, this works here. So now you have the stock market right at your fingertips through a widget. Very interesting way of doing this. The other thing that they did, and I kind of like, is the app library. The app library is swiped over here. Now, this is a really interesting way of doing this. Now, what Apple did was they organized it by the way they think your workflow will work. As you see here at the top left, there's suggestions, recently added, utilities, entertainment, productivity, social. So it brought up a lot of the apps in here, and I was actually going through and adding a lot of apps before we came on here today, and wanted to see how it looks. Now, here's something else cool here. If you do a swipe down here, look at this. This is the app library, but now it's alphabetical order. So you know how, remember before in iOS 13, you always had a challenge to try to find where your apps are. I think it was always a nuisance. And this way you can actually go through and actually see them, as well as go in here and be able to search for them. So if you type in a specific name of an app, it's going to come up just through the search, and easy to go through this. The other thing that you can do is you actually, like if you're like me, and again, this phone doesn't have it, but if you're like me and you have lots of pages, you're swiping through and there's a lot of pages, you can actually tap and hold this bar here by going in here, and if it lets me do it. Of course, it doesn't want to let me do it. Did that before. There it is. So you got to tap it. So let me go back to that. You tap this, and as you see here, it lists all 3 pages of apps right now. Let's say you want to hide one of the pages. You can go through, uncheck it, and so that I don't want that page to appear in the list. So I click done. So now it's not there. So then it's a quicker way to get to the app library. So it gives you a great way of being able to get to the app library. Do we have any questions so far?
Nothing we have to answer yet, so just keep going.
Okay. Did you have any comments as well, Bob?
Oh, I have lots of comments, but I'm going to let you keep going because there's so much to do. There, we have a long way to go, and I think it's going to be 2 a.m. before we're done, right?
No, I think we're going to stop at some. That's why I say I got to cut out some of these these features. So,
yeah.
One of the cool things they did is you see here they did a compact call. So let's say I'm on a browser, I'm looking at something, and someone calls you, and you know how it does it before, right? It just takes up the whole screen. It interrupts what you're doing. Well, now, where my icon went here? There it is. If I make a phone call, I'm gonna call this phone here. And you hear the touch tone too. So if I call while I'm on this phone, as you see this, it's going to actually bring a compact call button on here, assuming the call goes through. It's ringing. There it is. So now I can answer that call, or I can just swipe it up and ignore it. I think that's probably one of the best things they came out with on this, because a lot of people were always complained about it. And this also applies on the iPad. If you have your iPad connected to your phone, and when people call you, you would get calls on your iPad as well. That was another big nuisance. You're in the middle of watching a video and you want to be able to go through and do keep looking at it while you answer the call. Well, now you can do that, and it's compact. A couple of these features I won't demo, but this you do now have a picture-in-picture capability, and it's still beta, so they're still working on some of the things that are on there. So this allows you to be able to do a picture-in-picture. So let's say you're playing a video and you want to be able to continue to watch what you've been watching and be able to look something up. As you know, the most famous thing is FaceTime. So if you're having a FaceTime call and you go out of FaceTime and you go in to look for something, what happens? It's paused. So then you can't see, so they can't see you while you're doing it. Well, now they'll be able to see you as well as you'll be able to see them through FaceTime, and then you can, in this case, this example, they're looking at their schedule. They'll be able to go through and actually go out and do that. Another cool feature. Now in the messages, they did improve that immensely. The pinned conversations, I was playing around with that a little bit here. Here's some of the text I did here, and all you have to do is tap and hold a text, and then you can actually tap pin, and then what it'll do is it'll actually pin the two messages up the top there. As you saw, it actually did that. Again, I didn't have a lot of calls in here, so my graphics don't look so pretty, but here's what it looks like when you pin conversations with people who have their emojis connected to their phone. And then over here is, they got group photos too. You can actually you can add a group photo in that group, and then so they've got the group here. These young kids, they like having this stuff here. So this says surf trip, and then all three of these people are a part of that group. So they add that. You actually can now type in you can type a name in a direct message when you want to message somebody within the group, and highlight and customize it and be able to go through that way. Actual inline replies, that was always a challenge for those of you who do groups, and they allow you to be able to do an inline reply to somebody instead of replying to the whole group and then having to figure out, did they mean me or did they mean someone else? Now you actually can distinguish that. Of course, you got to have your memojis. The memojis have these different stickers, including you can get one with your mask if you really want to, and different hairstyles and such. So they went through and did that. And then moving on to maps, a couple of things they did add. The cycling directions was kind of neat when they demoed that. Let me see how maps looks on here. So here's the map here, and here's where my house is, of course. And as you see, I think it's got a nice flow to it. It also adds cycling directions, as well as, this is a big thing of people who own electric cars, electric vehicle routing, because you get the electric panic when you're driving an electric car like a Tesla, and you're worried that you're going to be running out of power anytime. Where's the next charging station? So they've now implemented in maps planning your trip, and you can get to wherever those charging stations are along the way. And then guides, they've really improved the guides immensely with Apple Maps, and a lot more in integrated guides, which is really nice. So I would say I was impressed with that. The Translate app, they did add the Translate. I know they did the demo on there. Let's see. Let's launch that app on the phone here. And I've tried it out. It does seem to do really well. Let's try it. Good evening. If it hears me. Good evening. Guess it doesn't want to hear me. See, that's how demos go. Try one more time here. Good evening.
That might be because of Macrum. There you go.
Did it in Italian. How quick that was too, because you use like Google Translate and a lot of the other Bing Translate, a lot of others. I was impressed how that was able to translate. And here are all the languages it does too. So you have Arabic, Chinese, French, German, Italian, Japanese, Korean. So there's a lot of a lot of languages here. And then as you see here, you actually can download all these languages. So if you're going on a trip, let's say you're going to Italy, and you want to be able to have Italian there, and if you're offline, you'll still be able to use it because and it'll be on there. Well, of course, other apps have done that too, but I've noticed that as I had been doing a few phrases, it seemed very quick and very accurate. So, any questions on this so far? We good?
No.
Dave,
Yes.
this is Randy. Could you rotate your phone? Because they said that when you do that, it would show it side by side for a conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, like that.
Somebody could be speaking Italian on one side and English on the other. Yeah, I thought that was.
Hello.
Joe.
I'm sorry, you probably heard right through my mic too. And there, yeah, you can actually push the button there, and that makes it in a large screen there. So when you're talking to somebody, you just toggle between it like that. So pretty impressive with that. And that's the translate. And again, there it was right there, attention mode. So we'll go through some of this stuff. I'm not going to demo a lot of this stuff, but Siri was a lot of improvements. I think there was a graphic that said that there's almost 25 billion requests in Siri. I think daily, was it?
Yeah.
It's some insane number which is amazing. Siri has gotten more facts than ever, at 20 times more facts than just 3 years ago. So they've really done some improvements there. Again, I'm going to whiz through this. There's a lot of information. If anybody has questions, please let Bob know in the chat, and we'll definitely get you on here. The HomeKit, home automation, that's a big place thing right now. Lots of things that are going to be there. Having suggested automations when it sees some of your kits, home status, adaptive lighting. You could set activity zones. Now this one's interesting. They are incorporating video cameras and the doorbells. You know, anybody who has those cameras now is actually going to identify you with face recognition. Kind of scary, I think, too. That it recognizes who that person is, and easily you could tag people, so when they come to the door, they know who you are. In Safari, the browsing the web, it's going to be fast. I did notice that, more powerful, and it's got some good privacy. They've got the translation built into Safari, and of course, Apple's always going to say the world's fastest mobile browser. They've also got into password monitoring. Then they can warn if a password you're using is not secure. Now, I'm sure many of us use 1Password, and that does do a lot of good job of warning things for you as well. And it also has a privacy report where you can have a report to better understand what your privacy is. And if you remember, during the keynote, they did really talk a lot about privacy, and I think Apple's doing a really good job of keeping things private for us for the most part. Car keys and CarPlay, that was interesting. Not going to go into too much depth. If you saw the keynote, that there was going to be a new BMW 2021 5 Series, and you can set it so have relationships between people that can have key to your car. Well, all they have to do is wave their phone on the car and near the car, and it will unlock it for you. I think you can also put restrictions in there, the ability to do certain things as well. So there was quite a bit with that as well, and be able to start your car as well as unlock your car with your iPhone. And here's where you're sharing and managing your keys, so you can manage who has keys and who doesn't have keys. And they did put a power reserve in here, and it'll work up to 5 hours if the iPhone battery wears out, because what happens if you don't have your key and then this isn't working? So you better get your phone charged right away, but it gives you 5 hours even if the battery does run out, so which is great. CarPlay did a lot of enhancements. They've added more apps. They've added some great wallpapers. If those of you have CarPlay, I'm very jealous. I want a car so bad that has CarPlay. My car does not, but it does have some great things. Now, this was a big thing with the AirPods. For those of you who have AirPods, of course, AirPods are magical, right? I'm using the AirPods Pro. So what they've done is they've added things like spatial audio, and that's going to bring in surround sound. Haven't tried them yet because it's still not been up to date as of yet. Sorry, let me bring up my notes real quick here. I think that was here. So I'll tell you, make sure I hit everything for you. Hold on 1 second here. So it has the spatial audio, and that's going to be pretty much. I think that's going to be the iPods Pro. Was it not, Bob, or is it both the iPod?
Yeah, the
AirPods?
iPod Pros, the
AirPods
Pros, excuse me. Yeah, because they have the processing power to do it. So
And then this is great. You're actually going to get notifications instead of hearing the bloop in your ear that the batteries are low.
yeah,
It's actually going to give you a notification on your iPhone. And this was huge. Automatic switching. And this applies to either AirPods or AirPods Pro. You automatically seamlessly can move between devices without having to manually switch your AirPods. If you finish a phone call on the iPhone and then you can pick it up on your iPad or watch a movie, the AirPods automatically will switch over. This is huge. Other thing they added was headphone accommodations where you can adjust the AirPods audio to account for your hearing differences for hearing impaired, as well as you can do audio sharing with the Apple TV. Now, this one was interesting. This, again, I won't even be able to demo this yet because this is still new and it hasn't been released yet. So this is a feature called App Clips. And what this is going to do is, if you saw it in the demo, you'll actually be able to go up to a specific place or like a scooter, different types of things, and you can go and actually, with the NFC chip, be able to scan and open an app and not open the app completely, and be able to find things, as you see here with the scooter. You want to rent that scooter. You can just go up to the scooter, scan it, and then pay for it, and then and away you go. It launches quickly, and has a lot of very speedy things. Again, we're going to probably find out more about this as things get released, and we'll be able to test it. So,
yeah.
Questions?
Just hang on for a second. Let's go over a couple of things. There was a couple of things in the chat just to go by. I don't know about CarPlay, if the car itself needs to be updated for the new CarPlay features. Do you know, Dave, or not?
No, I don't think it does.
I don't think it does. Yeah. Right. I think it's all in the phone itself. Now, some cars are cabled and some are wireless, and it's different performance with that. So,
yes,
just have to kind of keep our eye on that. And there was another question about another question about when does it come out, and this fall.
Yes.
Probably September, but
yeah.
There's no guarantees right now. This thing is moving. It's moving faster, I think, this year. Well, we'll get to that in a minute. It's moving very fast this year. Apple is moving very fast.
Just by watching the keynote yesterday.
Oh, that was a fantastic. I mean, they did such a great job. I know it was all done ahead of time, which is fine.
Yeah, they recorded it for sure.
The way they did transitions, the silly jokes are gone, to a certain extent, but they kept the pace up and very professional. Now everybody's reading from a teleprompter, at least most of them, but wow, that was really well done. So go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. I'm always appreciating your input. So the privacy was a big thing they talked about during the keynote. This is the thing I really like a lot, is the app privacy. It's actually going to tell you what each app does. That every app developer is required to have this enabled. So it shows in this example here, it shows that you have data to be used, what they do and how they track you and all that stuff, and then data that's linked to you in here as well. And I just remembered that I want to turn on something here. All right, give me a moment. So yeah, privacy is always been a big thing that everybody wants to have access to, and I definitely think I'm very pleased to how they're doing this. Let me do this. Forgot to turn this on, so now you can see my cursor. All right, let's go back here. And the big talk was also about the sign in with Apple, if anybody uses that. And some of the apps, the example here was Kayak, where there's a one less password, and then lets you actually convert over. If you had already had your sign in with Kayak with the direct sign in, it lets you actually convert over and use sign in with Apple. I would feel very secure with signing with Apple. I can't say I do much. I have done too many sites with it as of yet. Have you, Bob, at all used it at all? Or?
Every time I get the opportunity, I use sign in with Apple to get me the control. Um, I I move too fast sometimes. So look at that when you do it. Look at that screen because it says share your email address or not share your email address. It uses a fake,
Right.
a built-up email. So when you do sign in with Apple, look at that closely before you take that extra step.
Yes.
So go slow when you sign up. That's the only thing I've seen. And this is the fact that I could now convert all of my sign-ins 1116 at least that's what iOS tells me. That will be wonderful. So it's kind of in one spot, and this is a problem. So they've kind of Sherlocked some of 1Password stuff. So
Right.
we'll see.
I'm sure 1Password will come up with something else.
Absolutely.
And then I'm not going to talk too much about there, but this is the most important part: is compatibility. I am impressed that they are allowing all the way down to the iPhone 6s and the 6s Plus are going to be compatible to iOS 14. That's awesome. And for those of you who have the SE, the first generation, that's also supported. And you have the iPod Touch 7th gen. I see Randy raised his hand. Do you want to go ahead and?
I am grateful because I thought my 6S was going to have its last legs on 13, and now I get to go to 14. So I'm happy about this.
Now, when you upgrade, that's another story, right? You're going to hold tight for a bit.
I won't do it from day one.
I know that.
I thought of you, Randy. I thought of you.
I always have to tease 11.
You. Yeah, 11 was a horror story for me.
Okay, so this was the grid that they had. Let's make sure we covered everything as best we could. So yep, we covered it all. Pin the conversations, the widgets on the home screen. It does have on-device dictation. We talked about that. Picture in picture. It looks like they got everything covered here. They have in the on the other page too. So
yeah, and you went over it really fast, Dave.
I did.
There's more in there. Just in using on iOS and on iPad OS over the last 12 hours, it is amazing what they have done. They've been at this for a long time.
Only having the beta in hand for one day, it was pretty tough for me to.
Yeah.
But I did.
Yeah, Randy, go ahead.
Go ahead, Randy.
I watched it when it aired, but I would like to suggest to everybody here that if you have never watched one of these, go to apple.com, or if you have an Apple TV, you can watch it there. I would suggest that you at least start watching it. If your eyes start glazing over, then, stop.
Fast forward.
For those who haven't watched it, take a look at. I think it was really well done. I agree with the comments, and it's well worth watching because you'll see a lot of these features demoed.
Yeah, they did. I think they did a really nice job of getting to the point in this one, and there were lots of points to get to.
Absolutely. Any other questions? All right, I'm trying to find it. I had it there. I knew I should have kept it up.
What are you looking for, Dave?
The back button in accessibility. The back. You could tap the back.
Oh, yeah, I don't know where that is.
I had it in there, and of course.
Oh, wait a minute. Was it? I saw something. I don't know if it was there or not.
It was in accessibility.
It's got to be.
Motion. You could set it so you could tap the back of the phone.
Yeah, I thought it said back. Did you try back? I thought it was. Let me get on my phone and look.
Yes. Do you see it? Don't see it here. And then, of course, they don't give you an option to search in that box. But I would like to show this to you. So let's see. Back. Nope. Background. Nope.
I think it might have been tap back, maybe.
Yeah.
Try tap. See if that shows up.
Yep.
I'm not certain.
Side button, keyboards, hearing, access. I swear it was in here.
It's there. I just don't see it.
Oh, touch. It was in touch.
It's in touch.
Okay, here we go. So thank you for your patience. So I went into, I'm in settings, and I went into accessibility, and then I went into touch. Now in here, it has a back tap. So notice here you have a double tap and a triple tap. And what is this? This is an accessibility feature. So I can set the double tap to any of these settings to bring it up. So let's say you want to mute, you can set it to mute. If you want to do a screenshot, you can do a screenshot. So what am I doing? I'm going to take the phone, double tap the back. Look what it did. It did a screenshot. I just double tap the back of the phone. If anybody sees me on camera,
Yeah.
I'll do it again.
That's like the iPad where you slide up with the pencil from the corner. That's brilliant.
Yeah. How cool is that? and you can set it, as you saw. Let me type down here. Of course, we're getting crazy here. Delete. And you can set it to any of those other settings that you wish. So if you go back into accessibility.
Frank, we don't know if it'll work with a case. Dave doesn't have a case on his. I could try.
It's supposed to. It's supposed to. It is supposed
Here, hang
to.
on. Let me do it.
Here's back tap. Let's go back into double tap. So here are all the things that you can do in here, as well as some of the accessibility features if you want, like the magnifier. That might be something that would come in handy if you want to do a back tap as opposed to the triple tap of the side button.
I just did a double tap capture screenshot on my phone. It worked fine. It just
with the case.
With a case on it. Yeah, it did it. It
Okay.
worked just fine.
And
It's
then the same thing.
It's accelerometer. It takes just a little bit more force maybe, but it's working.
And they also said it does have a bit of a delay. So
yeah,
be prepared for that. So yeah, this is another cool thing, and they're doing like accessibility. So go ahead if you had a question.
No, thanks, Bob. I appreciate that.
Yeah, not a problem.
Thank you, Frank.
Do not do what I did, but we'll get to that in a little while.
Yes. Yes. Do not install this on your phone. That's probably the simplest way to say it here. So I think we covered everything there is to cover on iOS. Unless anybody has any questions.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I've raised my hand, but it doesn't seem to go in.
Well, yeah, I'm having a little trouble with the user interface on Zoom. It's user error on my fault. Sorry.
Oh,
go ahead.
Does the back tap work with all cases or any case?
Don't know.
Haven't
know.
tried it. Like I said, we've had this one day. So
not even a day. I installed it last night at 5 o'clock.
Me too. So yeah, less than a day. So we just discovered this late. Actually, this morning I discovered it.
Yeah, I did. I hadn't even looked at it yet. Yeah.
Yep. So, all right, let's go ahead and then we'll move on to iPad OS, and let's go look at the shots again here. So there's all this stuff here, and there's going to be a lot to go through. I'm going to really, in fact, I'm just going to use this grid and kind of just talk about it a little bit. Because we're going to be here a long time if I go through all this. But the things that really stood out to me was Scribble. If you have an Apple Pencil, you're actually going to be able to write much more seamless, as well as you can go into a dialog box, let's say a Safari URL, and you want to actually write it in. You can write it in, and it automatically was decoding it. Which was great. As you see down here, search scratch to delete. If there's a word in there, you can scratch it out, and it will delete that word. You can use that in notes. Well, let's just go back in here. This is probably going to be a better preview here.
Does that work with both pencil models?
Yes, it does. So again, they have redesigned the widgets. I don't have I have upgraded one of my older iPads, but it's still work in progress. A lot of this stuff hasn't made it to the first beta as of yet. So a lot of these the widgets aren't working as they showed. The app designs, they did some redesigning and made things really pretty. I really like the graphics, the way it looks. The search, they've done some changes with search. The compact calls, same thing, like I showed you. It's going to actually have this right here, where when someone calls, hallelujah, but you won't get a big full screen.
It doesn't take over your world.
I always loved it on the iPad where it took up your entire screen. So
Dave, if you scroll back a little bit, they added the sidebar in on some of those apps too.
Oh yes, I'm sorry. Yes, you talk the sidebar here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Photos, a bunch of them. Yeah. The Files app is really pretty.
Yeah. So that was some cool things in there, and search to improve the search, the compact calls we talked about. There's Scribble. So this is what this demo shows you, where you actually can write in a search box like it's doing here, and it will, in most cases, should understand what you write. Same thing with scratching it out. It erases. You can circle things. If you circle something, it highlights it. And this is like in like Pages or Notes. This is all going to work. And it's showing it in here in Notes as well.
And it does work.
I have the iPad. I don't have a pencil for. So
Yeah,
I
I did it on my. Never mind. Yes,
yeah,
it works.
You are great. You are
I'm
crazy.
insane.
The AR, if you have the newest iPad with the AR, this AR kit with augmented reality, the LiDAR scanner is in the new iPad Pro. That's going to be interesting with virtualization. Again, messaging is the same as we talked about. I'm just kind of whizzing through this. I hope you don't mind. Inline, all this is the same stuff we just talked about. Maps, home. So let's go into the grid, and I'll actually make sure I talk about stuff here. We know about the browser. Yeah, let's just go into those that grid and just kind of show you. There were two grids. So that's this one here. We talked shape recognition, data detectors where it detects data. The toolbars have been improved, so you see the icons are much more clear and easy to access. And let me go to the second one here. And this is the one that's kind of, let's see, iPad OS 14 shot 2. Look at this right here.
Yes.
What does
Not
that
really.
say?
Yeah.
Set default email and browser apps. I've talked about this a bunch of times. Apple purposely did not say a word about this, and they are going to allow you to be able to set your default email. Let's say if you use an email app called Spark or Outlook, you don't have to. You're not going to be stuck having Apple Mail as your default. Browsers, and that's why when I did the presentation on browsers, I talked about this. So if you want Firefox, if you want Google Chrome, if you want Microsoft Edge, you can now make them your default. And all this other stuff that's in here, notes, and it's got live photo stabilization. There's all kinds of fun things in here that you can be going through with iPad OS. So a lot of what I talked about with iPhone OS it translates over to iPad OS. A few things that stand out definitely is the amazing new pencil support that they're adding. Did you have anything further you want to add, Bob, with the iPad?
There's some things that aren't in, you mentioned it a little bit. There's some things that aren't in there yet that we're waiting for. I think the iPad is just a little bit behind the iPhone. I didn't.
It is.
I don't, I don't say anything wrong. It's just, we're at beta one plus 24 hours. If you set it up and run it, it doesn't look any different.
Right.
It does,
really
but it
me,
isn't like, oh my goodness, it's completely changed.
Not like the iPhone.
Yeah. And maybe the iPad will shift a little bit more, but yeah, it's really, the iPhone looks significantly different. It really does. And we'll see how we do with time on some other stuff, but yeah, the iPad doesn't feel as if it's as far along, but everything I have used that works has worked well for me. Although I have to write my O's backwards to recognize them as an O. So when I write Bob, instead of going this way, I got to go that way. So
this was I remember them demoing this. This was a mixed Chinese and English handwriting conversion.
Oh,
you saw, that was really cool that she was able to write it in Chinese, and it automatically decoded it and created the character as how the Chinese language is, and then converted it. So that was really cool.
Phenomenal.
So it's very, very cool to see that they're really improving upon pencil support on the iPad and making it even more worthwhile having a pencil for your iPad. Because some people don't have their iPads; they feel they don't need the pencil, but the pencil is a little pricey. If you have the Pro, if you get Pencil 2, it's like what, $130. And if you get if you have the other pencil, Pencil 1, believe is $99. So it's a little pricey. So you got to really have some value.
if you're like Randy and it's your primary computing device, it might be something that might be worth it. So, and I'm pretty heavy into iPads too, and I love having the pencil.
When I bought my iPad Pro, I bought the pencil at the same time.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Good man. All right. So let's go into Watch OS. First off, I guess I might as well open this now. I didn't mean to do that quickly, but for those of you who have Apple Watch, if you have a Series 1 or a Series 2, you're at the end of the road. So now the new Watch OS 7 is only going to support Series 3, 4, and of course 5. So be aware of that. And let's bring up the grid again. There it is.
Where can you find what series you have?
Good question. I think you can go into the app and it might tell you. You also go look it up. The serial number.
I'll look it up while you're talking.
If you could check that. Thank you.
Yes.
So these were some of the items that they talked about. The sleep monitoring was big. That was a big discussion. Multiple complications was big. And face sharing, and you actually can share a face the way you have it with somebody else. So let's go into the Watch OS preview and talk about that real quick. So as I said, the watch faces are actually going to be faces that to make your own, so you can customize them any way you'd like, which is nice because you're not stuck to with the set faces. And now you've got more from every app, and you can one tap things, get to those things quickly. You can share, like I said, you could text these faces and be able to email it, text it, or post a link, and that person can tap it, and it will automatically install that face onto your watch. You can also go into the App Store and find some faces that might attract you and you might like, and get other faces online as well, which is great. Now, this was the big thing. Look at that nice transition going from light to dark. It's sleep. So the sleep mode. When you go to bed, your watch will automatically turn on Do Not Disturb and keep your screen from waking. So you'll be able to. It'll actually monitor your sleeping and do your sleep, and it'll do sleep tracking. It'll actually show you how many hours that you are sleeping and gives you a sleep chart and lets you do as well. And then added this interesting feature of the fact that you can actually wind down. This is the wind down feature, allow you to assist in establishing a bedtime routine, help you relax. Maybe use the Calm app if anybody's not familiar with the Calm app, where you can listen to stories and it gets you calm and gets you to fall asleep. Then you wake up, you start your morning with a weather report and the battery level, and it tells you if you want to turn off your alarm. And then if your battery is below 30% in your bedtime, you'll get a charge reminder to charge it. And even if you charge it after waking up, you'll get an iPhone notification as well. Sleep is also in the health app.
You have to wear your watch to bed.
Oh yeah.
Yes. To use this feature, you will have to wear it while you sleep. Mm-hmm. Yes. So that's the sleep app. So then fitness, they're actually renaming this from activity to fitness. And they showed dancing, where you could do dancing workouts. And there's the change to the fitness app. Again, I'm going to whiz through this. There's a lot to talk about here. Cycling, we talked about that in maps. So that's also going to be on your watch as well, which is great. This one was funny.
Yes.
Hand washing. So now it'll have an automatic detection. It knows when you go to the sink and you start washing your hands, and it'll start the timer automatically because it'll sense it in your watch, and the countdown for 20 seconds will go.
Can you turn that off?
Oh, I'm sure you can. What do you want to turn off for? You want to be able to know that you're washing your hands properly, right?
I don't want to wash my hands. I'm
In these days, you have to be washing your hands there, Frank.
a herd immunity fan.
So Siri updates there's been updates, and you can do Siri translation, which is great. So you can do it right from your watch if you don't have your iPhone handy. Siri shortcuts are now have a quicker way to be able to run these shortcuts that are created on your iPhone. So if there's something that's on the shortcuts, it will work with there as well. Of course, it's got even better hearing health. WatchOS 6 introduced the loudness app, where it actually protects your ears and tells you if the decibel levels are too high and warns you that you're in a place that's too high. Don't go to those concerts. And it'll help you keep it safe. And again, that's the compatibility. and the watch itself is. I was impressed with some of these features. No, there were some developer things that were added. I'm not sure of yet. I did not see anything. I know Bob, you were watching some of the developer stuff. I didn't see anything else for watch. They really didn't talk about it during the keynote.
I've been concentrating on Mac OS, so I haven't done anything with watch, and I need to get into tvOS a little bit. I haven't done anything with tvOS yet either.
Well, good transition here. Here's tvOS. So this is some of the stuff that's going to change in the fall. A lot of gaming. They are going to provide more compatibility with controllers, Xbox controllers, so you'll be able to use more controllers, play more games. So it's becoming a bit of a gaming platform. Here's something neat. HomeKit will actually show on your TV with the camera. Look at that. So when you're watching a movie or something on Apple TV, this will pop up and actually show you that you can see who's at the front door, which is cool. And more things will be available, picture-in-picture, 4K AirPlay, and I believe YouTube is now going to be able to, will now be supporting 4K glory, and you'll be able to do slow-mo, outdoor, all kinds of videos from YouTube, which is great. Audio sharing will let you connect 2 sets of AirPods to your Apple TV. That's awesome. If you have 2 AirPods, you're sitting watching TV, people who have trouble listening to it or want to have just the privacy of being able just to listen, both of you have a pair of AirPods. You can listen together. And I think I'm gonna try that, but we gotta wait till the beta comes out. I don't install beta on my TV OS. And of course, if you buy a new Apple TV, you'll get Apple TV Plus for free for a year. They had that last year. And the TV app is now all in one place, so all of your TV watching will be included in the TV app, which is great. And then there was a grid, I believe, that also included home. Let's go into, I think I labeled it. Yes, this one here. Okay. So here's some other things they enhanced. The control center. I know Bob was itching a little bit to talk about Mac OS. We might sneak a little bit just so you get a little taste for that. I'm not going to talk too much about it since
it's
this
called
is an iOS.
overtime.
Yes. Yeah, we're actually good at time here. Actually, I'm looking at.
Yeah, we're actually doing fine.
So control center enhancements. They're going to enhance it, so they're give you some much better views with that. I didn't mention that. The Photos app will AirPlay in 4K, so that's awesome because for those of us who have the iPhone 11 and higher, 4K videos will actually show in 4K. Of course, your TV has to be 4K, but it does have that. You can set activity zones for cameras. So if you have different zones, if you have this many cameras, I think you're a little crazy.
No, that's just a zone in a single camera. So stuff outside of that zone,
I'm sorry.
It won't show motion.
That's right. I'm sorry. That is the zones for the camera itself. So if it shows each zone for activity, so it tells you. There's a facial recognition we talked about, and this is huge. This is with the HomePod. You're actually going to be able to use third-party music services, the HomePod, because right now you can only use Apple Music. So Spotify will probably be on there, and probably Amazon Music will probably be on there, and many others. So they're adding that as well. I think that's good. There's any questions at all?
I just have a comment on that zones. For what it's worth, their example, although it's not in this picture, their example was your front yard. So you could kind of make a zone of just your front yard up to the sidewalk and down your boundary line, so that's the only place where you would get an image, I guess.
Yeah, so you won't get an alert of the car driving by in the street that's outside of that zone. Right.
Yeah, I thought that was a good example that they they should have had it in the photo here.
Yeah, and this is for cameras that are HomeKit compatible. I have the feeling that's going to be limited for a while. I don't know. There's very few that do that yet. So we'll see how that goes. There's that whole initiative that Apple and Google and Amazon and and the Zigbee Alliance are all working on. So hopefully down the road, and an Apple open sourced HomeKit stuff. So good on them.
We got through that quicker than I thought we would.
I have a comment.
Yes, please.
This is Jeff.
Hi, Jeff.
I think opening up the capability to load other uh, browsers as your main browser,
Yep.
and the EarPod allowing you to use the other company's music software. I think that's all having to do with being a monopoly and being sued by Europe.
Could be.
So they're opening up a little bit here and there so that they can please the lawsuits.
Or prevent them. Yeah.
Prevent them.
Yeah.
You might have some not firsthand but secondhand knowledge of that because of your former employer. But yeah, it's definitely probably something like that that the browser and email that they were getting a lot of pressure and they had to give in on it.
Yeah.
I mean, they could do it on the Mac. Why can't you could do it on the Mac? Why the heck can't you do it on the on that? As well as I have to think, we didn't talk about this. And I may will have Bob maybe do a quick, maybe a few minutes sneak peek of Mac OS Big Sur, and it really looks a lot more like iOS on the Mac. It's got a lot of graphic changes and such like that, and I think because Mac does it and they're trying to keep everything in synergy the way they're developing things, because they're also going to develop on the Mac OS, and all apps will be with the advent of the Apple Silicon, or also known as ARM processor that they announced, that iOS apps will be able to work on Mac OS.
And I think that is huge.
Yeah, I agree. So any of the iOS or iPad OS apps, if you buy those apps in the App Store based on those devices, developers are being urged to make sure that you develop it so it also works in Mac OS. So the synergy is going to be there across all the platforms, which I think is awesome. And that is a good topic because it does have to do with iOS. So
yeah, there's a significant portion of apps in the App Store that today will work on the new Apple Silicon based
right.
Macs that are coming out. Not till the fall or so forth, but it's about they're saying it's about a 2-year transition.
Yes. So, of course, we're not here talking Mac OS, but I think I'm going to let Bob do a quick 2-minute sneak peek just to show people. I'm going to let you.
Oh,
share
come
if you don't
on. I
mind.
could go over. All right.
All right.
Let me
5
share my
minutes.
screen.
We're going to do just a quick sneak peek on Mac OS Big Sur. So this is kind of a bit of a bonus here for you.
Okay. Here. A couple of things.
And there's Big Sur right there.
Big Sur. That is Big Sur. Okay, that's all you see.
Yeah.
So, let's see. What's we'll just
Control Center, I think is the one thing I
well,
really
Control Center is just plain cool. So here's Control Center. Okay, does that look familiar?
Yeah, that's iOS.
One of the things
right
that's really fascinating is I haven't tried the mouse cursor app yet to see if that works.
Pro Mouse is what I use.
Yeah, let me see.
Don't worry about it.
Okay, I won't mind it. If you look at these icons, so look down here at the messages icon with the 4 on it and the FaceTime icon. Those icons are significantly different. The way the dock is shaped is different. The toolbars and apps. So here. Oops, not what I wanted. Here, let's just bring up Mail. So
Yeah,
they've got a pane over here, and notice how the toolbar sits across there. All of the panels are here. I'm in dark mode. Hey Siri, turn on light mode. Now we're on light mode. Okay. So forth. So here's all your controls are up here. Notice how the controls highlight so you can see where you are, that kind of thing. Everything is just kind of a lot smoother. The rectangles around things are, completely are really nice looking, that kind of stuff. Close Mail because I didn't want anything there that's extra funky. Let's see what else. Photos. They did a little bit with photos, but it's not done yet. It might take it a minute. We'll minimize it, let it come back. Photos isn't done yet. What is it? Here's preview. Let's see what preview looks like. The preview icons changed a little bit. And again, here's you can see what things look like. You bring out the panel. Come on, thumbnails. And the thumbnails are actually a little bit clearer. The other thing they did is they brought all of the SF symbols over, and the SF symbols are colored.
Right.
So all the symbols are going to match on all the fonts and stuff. There's 1,000 things in here. As far as what we're talking about tonight, there's several really important things with the new Mac. The new Macs that'll come out in the fall. You're going to be able to you'll actually have all of the apps that are on the App Store for iOS and
Right.
for iPad OS will be available on the Mac, and most of them will run on the Mac unless a developer chooses to not let them run. So I think that's absolutely huge. There's some accommodations that are a little bit of a problem for people to get used to. They show it very nicely in the keynote. So if you're interested in how that works, go look at the keynote. They're still going to be making Intel Macs for a while. And
Don't worry.
don't worry. And don't be afraid to buy a Mac if you need one. What was the comment? We will be supporting Intel Macs for years. Okay.
Yeah.
So I see no worries about that at this point in time.
All right. Anyway, I appreciate you
a
touching
question
upon that.
about
I mean, go ahead, Frank. You have a question.
I have a question about the Rosetta thing that they announced with regard to emulating
Right.
different stuff. Will we be able to emulate a Mac OS that runs 32-bit?
No. Not
32-bit
emulating Mac OS, you're emulating 64-bit Intel. As far as I know, it will not be 32-bit.
Not if it's like a High Sierra.
32-bit is gone.
32-bit is dead.
Let's not go down that road. That's
Yeah,
a-
I'm 99.9% sure you will not see 32-bit in Rosetta 2.
Yeah, I don't want to go down that road. So let's go ahead and move on. Any other Pete, you've been very quiet tonight. You always have lots of questions. Do you have any questions? Are you there? I saw you on there. Maybe he's not there.
I'm here.
He's there. He just hasn't unmuted himself yet.
Hi, Pete.
Hello.
Did you have any questions? Because you always have lots of questions when we're live.
I'm observing.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Wanted to make sure you were there.
Well, I'm afraid of what he's observing, Dave. What are we hiding?
I don't know.
Lurking is what he's doing. He's lurking.
Bob, I have a comment for you that you might be amused by.
I love it.
When you said, "Hey Siri," a while ago,
Hey, don't do that.
my HomePod responded to you, and
Of
my
course.
HomePod is in another room, so
Yeah.
I'm in my kitchen, so it heard you.
That's why you gotta be.
I reach out and touch my friends and family all day long.
That's why I always joke when I'm doing a podcast or any other things. I say, "Hey, yes, lady." You can't say it.
Yeah, but I had to do it here because I wanted to show you Siri changing my dark mode.
That was cool.
Yeah.
All right.
That was cool.
I don't know if you could do it now or not. I just know that it works in this. Okay. Now, lesson number 1. Do not do.
Yes, I was going to say
Dave,
before we move on here.
I have done. Do not do it. Please.
Do not install this. In fact, you
Do
can't
not
right now
install this.
unless you have a developer's account. So right
Yeah, you
now,
can't if you have a developer's account. They'll have a public beta sooner.
July.
Public beta number 1. Don't do it. Don't even do public beta number 1. I don't think. So, anyway.
So if we don't have any other questions, I guess I did add a second topic here. I was going to talk about the control center on iOS 13. We can talk about that.
You should.
And I'm going to go back and share my screen here. So unless there's any other questions. No questions? You're quite.
I see nothing.
All right.
I've got a secondary question, I guess.
Go ahead.
Sure.
Recently, I'm not quite sure if the change came when I uploaded, when I upgraded to iOS 13, or if it was later than that. But I have a flashlight app in addition to the one built into it. And the flashlight app doesn't get very bright anymore. Any ideas why that might be? Could it just be a defect in that app?
Have you tried the regular flashlight? Because the
think-
regular flashlight has a brightness.
Yeah,
Has
I
a-
can adjust
has a
that, but
dimmer,
the other one would have more flexibility, the app itself.
Don't know.
That was called flashlight. Okay, that I
I
don't know
wouldn't
about.
be at all. I wouldn't be at all surprised that they're depleting some of those apps. If you see here, I have it on my screen now. That I have the flashlight, and this is how you make it lighter or darker. So
I got
I've
a
got-
question for you, Dave.
yes, go ahead, Joe.
Has anybody heard anything or seen anything more on contact tracing?
Oh, you've been really concerned about that. If you all you have to do is if you type in settings, let me show you here. Just make sure it's turned off. So go into settings here and you type in COVID. There's the exposure notifications,
Mm-hmm.
and just make sure it's turned off, and there will not be nothing will be shared with anybody, and the privacy is shut off. So it will not ever.
And you'd have to have an app installed that would be using it anyway.
Right, and I think
And that's coming.
Maybe.
it's coming.
Absolutely,
but if you have
it's coming.
if you have this turned off, so right now, see it's grayed out. You can't even turn it on. There are no installed apps on this phone.
Mm-hmm.
So, so you should not. No one should be concerned about this at all. If you want, just keep it off. It's off now because there is nothing for it to turn it on. So
I have a comment about that. I
Sure.
don't think it will be coming because the requirement that Apple and Google made that I read is that
Yeah.
every country can only have one app. So it's got to be done at the federal level. And judging the way things are going at our federal level, I don't think we'll see an app coming out.
yeah.
Just my guess.
Hi, Dave. It's Tom.
Hey, hi, Tom.
Two quick questions. I think
Please.
I think in the United States that the COVID thing can be done at the state level as well. I think I read that. But
Right.
my real
Mhm.
question is, well, I was thinking about getting a new Mac. So this is not a good time to get a new Mac, I would guess, for
No.
someone who keeps their computers a long time.
No, I would say it's not a problem at all. Absolutely not a problem. If you need a new Mac, go get one.
But how long are they going to be supporting them?
The if you watch
Years.
it says years. Okay, years.
In fact, Tim Cook made the comment, we've got more Intel Macs in the pipeline. So they're going to be coming out with new Intel Macs, and they have to support them. So that's at least, once you buy them, 3 years of support, 3 to 5 years usually.
They most of the time it's been 5. I mean, they just
5 years.
released the iMac Pro. They're going to support this stuff.
Yeah.
Not in the least
good.
bit worried.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
don't worry. You're
Thanks.
welcome.
And desktops are probably going to be the last thing to be updated.
Yeah.
That's a
Desktop
good point.
models.
Don't know.
All right. I'd like to move on if you don't mind, because that's
Sure.
Mac, and we're here for iPhone and iPad.
iPad.
I forgot this article actually. Brandy mentioned this in our community, and I wanted to talk about these. These are some hidden features that weren't talked about. Was there anything in here, Randy, that stood out for you that you think I should?
No,
about the
I
most,
was
though?
just going to mention, I put that out in the community because I
Yeah, you
thought
go
that
to the
there were a
link
lot
and
of-
read that.
there were a lot of things in there, and people might want to just browse through there because there's some really interesting little minor things there that they've added. So
That's probably why they didn't talk about them. But you had just sent this to me. I saw that earlier in the day, and I had no time to look at it. So
no, I just thought it was very interesting because they went through and found all these minor things that weren't mentioned, that they've discovered.
all right, did somebody get my phone number and start sending me texts, Jeff? Just got a text on my other phone. All right, so this was interesting. Actually, this actually popped up. This actually popped up, and if anybody isn't familiar with this feature in Photos, it's called Memories, and it's really cool when this stuff kind of pops up. This in this case, it's saying Independence Day over the years. So it picked up all my photos that I had taken during Independence Day celebration. And you can see here some of the locations I had been. I was in Chicago, of course, and then I had taken pictures in Boston. So it's kind of cool that it does that, and you could play it as a slideshow, and it actually it's cool. It airplays on here, so it'll actually show that this was actually this was down near Independence Hall or down in Boston, where they read the Declaration of Independence right from it. So I thought that was kind of cool. Anyway.
Okay.
Yes.
I was going to say that feature is absolutely amazing. It just comes up with stuff that you forget, and it puts a smile on my face every time.
Yeah, because I remember that picture. So I was in Boston quite a few years ago. It's 4 or 5, at least 6, maybe. Last time I was there. So, okay. So let's talk a little bit about the control center. We've got about 20 minutes or so. And of course, this is the control center, and the way you bring it up is you drag down from the top right on your iPhone and drag it down. If you have an older iPhone that doesn't have that has Touch ID, you drag it from the bottom and bring it up. And as you see here, it's laid out in such a way where it gives you options as far as network and settings. You can tap and hold this. And this is the icon here that gives you access to all the controls for Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, your hotspot, giving you quick access to things, which is really neat. Being able to turn off or on your cellular data instead of having, as you knew before, how we always had to dig through and grab out those settings in settings. You don't have to do that anymore. You can get to the access pretty quickly. And then here is where YouTube is, or any other media that you're playing, and you actually can tap this. Like I was watching a YouTube video earlier. I can tap this and actually send this to my different devices. Now this is kind of cool feature in here as well. With me, I have 2 HomePods. I can play them both on here. It's not showing on here now because I don't have the other speaker on, but I also have a Sonos Move speaker. I can actually play all 3 of those speakers. The Office HomePods is actually made into a pair, so they're a pair, as well as be able to play it to any other device. Like let's say if I wanted to play sounds here to my basement or my office Apple TV, all the sound would play in all the rooms. So if you wanted to be able to share that with others around, you can do that through sound. Which is pretty cool. So you have access to that just by tapping it in from the control center. And right here, you can actually turn this on or off if you want to lock the orientation so it doesn't turn on you. This here, right here, gives you the option. I'll use my mouse here so you can see here. This here is the do not disturb. So if you could set your phone for do not disturb. And here is the brightness settings here, where you can actually make the brightness as well as you saw when I turned the flashlight on. You have access to the brightness here. Right here is actually control of the Apple TV. It's grayed out right now as I'm not using it, but this will set if you have access to the remote for the Apple TV on here. This is screen sharing, so you see I'm right now because I'm sharing this on my screen on my computer. This is turned on right now, and then all these other icons can be added by customizations, including some accessibility ones like this one here. This gives you access for text size through accessibility. You can actually add this to your control center, and if you want to make your text larger or smaller, you can do that. Let me go into settings here, and then you go into control center right here. And then the way you actually customize it, you can customize it to your liking. So you just go into customize controls. Now here are all the things that I have enabled, as you just saw. So there is screen recording and calculator, the flashlight, but you can also take these off if you don't want to. Now, Bob showed you on the Mac, but he was actually able to ask the S lady to go into dark mode. Well, you actually have access. That's what this button here is, and allows you to be able to set it into dark mode. And then you have the camera, right? Of course, you can get to the camera right from the control center. Here's the Apple TV remote you saw. You can add notes here. There are notes I have in here as well as quick access in the control center. And then these are the 2 accessibility features that I did, the text size and the magnifier. You could set the magnifier with a button, and it'll actually automatically open it that way on the side button. But you may want to do it here as well. I'm trying to scroll with my mouse to scroll up, just let you look at other things. and here's more controls. There are some of the accessibility shortcuts. So if you have any shortcuts set up with accessibility, you can add those in there and be able to have access through the control center. Here's announce messages with Siri. You can get to that. Any hearing settings. Again, I've added a lot of these things from accessibility. And then your stopwatch, your voice memos, your wallet could be in there if you want to. So you really could go crazy and add a lot of this stuff. I'm gonna add a few more of these, and you can see what it looks like when you add this stuff. I'm gonna add the stopwatch. I'll add the home. QR reader, that comes in handy. You don't have to come digging for that. A lot of times the QR reader actually comes up automatically when you turn on your camera, and you just put your camera up to a QR code, and it'll automatically scan it. So let's go back into the control center here, and you can see all these other icons here have been added. There's the home, and there's the QR code right there, and there's the alarm and the stopwatch. So now you have quick access to all these buttons, which is great. And so if you go ahead and tap it, it'll just bring you right to the stopwatch, and you can actually go back here if you want. And if you want to go to the alarm, you can go in here and set the alarms and have quick access. As you see, it makes it so much easier to get to these things. Here is the camera. So if you want to see what the camera looks like, that's there. Here's the Apple TV remote. So if I had an Apple TV connected here, there's my two here. Let's go to the one that says Office. You can actually see this is the Apple TV remote here that allows you to. This is basically the touchpad, just like it is on that crappy remote that they give you.
Works so much better.
This works so much better on here than it does on that crappy remote they give you. So you have access to all these things from the remote, but you see it's incorporated into the control center, which is great. And you can you close it out, and then there it is. Here's the notes. It just brings you right to the Notes app, which is great. If you use Notes all the time, which I do, and brings you into the Notes app, and you can easily go in there and get your easy access. So I know a lot of people don't think about that. Oh, I'm on Do Not Disturb. If I don't turn it off, it'll always be on Do Not Disturb. A lot of people don't think about the control center as far as what a control center can do, and it is very powerful and gives you a lot of features. I'd like to know anybody else. Has anybody else customized it the way they like? Bob, have you added more things that I didn't talk about?
I forgot. I use a few. For me, it's screen recording, and so screen recording. Some of the home stuff. I've got some stuff on home, and the calculator.
Oh yeah, calculator is always a big one.
That's
just yeah. That's a no-brainer. Just always using that. And we can go right back. See how great it is? You can navigate to these apps and then go back to the top right and swipe back down, and there you are. If anybody doesn't know, the reason why this is grayed out, this is screen recorder, but because I'm showing my screen onto Reflector on the computer, you can't use this. So you can only use this when it's not remotely connected. So that's why that's grayed out. You want to say something,
Dave?
Yeah, go ahead, Frank.
About screen mirroring. That's what you're doing now, correct?
Correct.
Okay, when I hit my screen mirroring, I'm at my Mac now. All I got is my living room and my porch Apple TVs that will allow me to do that. Right. How come I don't have a Mac like you do?
Well, I'm using an app called Reflector. Reflector is an app made by Air Squirrels, and it's a paid app, and that's what allows me to be able to share the screen by making my Mac into a shareable device. That's
why
I see my Mac. You have to have a third-party app in order to do it. The other way I could do it, the other way I could share my phone if I wanted to, is I could do it in QuickTime, where you can plug it in with a lightning plug and then be able to share it that way. But I find Reflector to be really good, especially when I'm on my own network. And as you see, it's zipping around pretty good because this is actually over my network. It goes over Wi-Fi, so that's how I'm able to share this. And the nice thing about it is, as you see, I'm giving you a nice, big, large, crisp view of my iPhone.
Right. Yeah. Good. Thank you.
Any other questions about the Control Center? I'd like to know if anybody else customizes it any different than I do. Anybody that has done this before? Anybody?
Yes.
I customized mine, a long time ago, but I honestly haven't changed anything since then.
Okay. Did you go ahead, Marcia?
I use voice memo
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and in the QR code reader.
Let's go back in there. I forgot about voice memos. Yeah, that's always because that's a quick way to get. Yeah, see, I don't have it in there. Let me add that. So then, if I go back, yep, there's voice memo right down there.
I use magnifier quite a bit.
Oh yeah, right there. Gives you
It would be
great options there, and then
document
there's a magnifier
there.
I'm sorry, Marcia?
I said it would be nice if you could put document scanning there.
Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of third parties. As you see now, as I've added all these apps, I'm at a pretty full list here. So I haven't even tried that. If you could I'd be curious to see if I can add more stuff. And does it explode?
Because the things that are in Control Center now are just the Apple apps, right?
Right.
Right. Okay, so see what it did? I was worried if it does it explode. So then what happens is it has to be scrolled up to a longer screen, but it does let you add those. And I would not be all surprised that app developers may look into this even further to give them options to add that. I'm surprised a lot of these apps haven't give the options because as you see on the list, every single one of these is a Apple related app that allows you to add it. But just for its convenience, convenience in itself, it's. Yeah.
Hey, Dave.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Davies.
Hey, how are you guys? I've been quiet
Hello.
tonight. So if you add the notes icon into Control Center and then deep press, it does give you the option to scan a document.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
So,
I forgot about that.
Yep.
Yeah, so if you tap and hold the notes apps, yeah, I forgot some of these have the notes. There you go, Marcia. That has the scan document feature right in there in the notes app. So you can access that quickly. I totally forgot about that. So, look what it does. Thank you, Davis, for reminding me of that. I completely forgot about this. So as you see here, when you tap the notes button, look at the 4 things it gives you options for. And this is all the things that you do all the time. You want to create a quick checklist. There it is. So if I tap new checklist, it's going to open up notes, and then look what it does. It starts a checklist for you. And if you want to create a new note, or if you want to do a new photo, you can put a photo right into a note or scan a document. And I believe there's, if I can play, I think the calculator does, there has some options there too. Thanks for reminding me. I completely forgot about this. The flashlight, if you tap and hold it, it actually gives you the intensity bar right there. The camera, there gives you the options right there to take a selfie, record, take a portrait selfie. Those are all there. So very powerful. A lot of people forget that a lot of these things are in here. The alarm, I think, is just a tap, so it doesn't give you a lot of those options. But I think
I use the do not disturb long press all the time because it brings up the do not disturb until end of this event. So I do it like if I'm going into a doctor's appointment or a meeting with a client really quick. And I don't have to remember to turn off do not disturb when I'm done.
Thank you. That's as you see right here. I can set it until the end of this event. That's our event tonight, as well as other choices. So check out the Control Center. People forget about this, and as you see, it's got a lot of very powerful features.
Hey, Dave. Would you know why I don't have announce message via Siri as an option?
For like I do?
Yeah, it's not showing up on my phone.
Let's see.
So maybe I have to turn something in messages on?
Dave, what phone are you on?
This is the
iOS 14.
This is 11. This is the 11 Pro Max, and it's on iOS 13. Don't worry.
I can't go look because I have a phone that's back.
So you're talking about announce messages? Well,
yeah, down there, right under more controls, top one.
Yep, let me add it and look here.
Yeah, I don't know why I don't have that option.
Yeah, it's saying see what it's doing. You know what it is? Do you have AirPods?
I do.
See what it's doing.
I don't have them in right now, though.
Yeah, see what it's I'm using them on my Mac right now. See what it's doing when I tap it? That's what it's
yeah. Okay.
What happens is that's a good tip I can give you. for those of you that have AirPods, if you have them connected to your iPhone, and if someone texts you and you get a message, in your ears, Siri is automatically going to tell you what that person said. They'll read back the message to you, and then you can double tap on your AirPods, and you can respond to it right from your AirPods as well. So that's what that is. So you got to do that. So
I wonder why they didn't make Scan like a separate app as opposed to always having to only scan into notes. It seemed like you ought to be scan and just save it to files or something.
Yeah, good question. Yeah, I'm not sure why they wouldn't.
You can scan from the Files app itself, but it's not in the Control Center.
Not in Control Center. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Files app will scan, right? But not, yeah.
Right. Yeah, if we go into the Files app.
Okay.
Scan from there. Yep. All right. Any other questions? We've got 5 minutes. Let's take advantage of it here.
I would just like to encourage people to watch that video if they have never watched one before.
They should. I think you can go to apple.com. It might still be there. It's on YouTube, actually. If you go to youtube.com/Apple.
It's in Apple TV too.
What's that?
The conference was in Apple TV. You can watch it from there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I believe they own that URL. I would hope they did.
Steve? Steve, it's not possible to remove like screen sharing from the control center, right?
Yes. And I'm Dave, by the way.
I'm sorry. Remind me of a really good friend of mine who looks sort of like you, very good looking and very intelligent.
Yeah, so if you go into settings and if you go into the control center, if you don't want screen recording on here, just tap the minus, remove it. And if it'd be nice if I showed you the screen, and I'm not doing that right now. Hold on. Oh, there you go. Yeah, so I just removed it. So now it's down. It's down. See, it's down at the bottom here now.
Gotcha.
So it's now down here as the more controls. So I can start removing things that I don't want in here anymore, and then it'll clean it up. So you have control of what's up there.
Mm-hmm. Thanks.
So as I was saying, this is Apple. YouTube.com/Apple is probably going to be the best place to watch it, because YouTube always has a good experience in here. And this is the video that they're showing right now, and you can watch the whole event. It was 1 hour and 48 minutes, and it was good. I thought it was fun to watch. A lot of information and all that time. So I was very impressed how they handled it. And as you saw, Steve Jobs, Tim Cook came up on stage, Freudian slip there, and in an empty Steve Jobs theater. That's why I said Steve Jobs, and opened things up. And as you can see already, look at how many reviews is on this thing. Over almost 8 million. Crazy.
Yeah, and you can always put it on pause and come back to it later, so you don't have to watch it all in one sitting.
You don't.
Absolutely. I should have done that last night instead of staying up.
Yeah, put it on pause.
But if anybody wants to listen to my reaction, I did a podcast for Mac Eyes Only, for FOR, and it was me, Chuck Joyner, and Gary Malpass, also known as Gazmaz from the MyMac.com podcast, and Mike Potter from MacStock. And we did a reaction time discussion. So we were watching the event as things unfolded. So it was kind of fun. It's always fun to listen if you're interested in that too. So we've been doing that for years with Mike Potter. It's Mike Potter's podcast, and we've had a lot of fun doing that. So
I've got a support question, if you don't mind.
Of course, that's what.
Oh, wait a minute. What's your credit card number?
That's right.
I've got a second generation 12.9-inch iPad Pro with the keyboard, and the keyboard has been connecting and not connecting, and then connecting, and I can't seem to. So I've cleaned the little electronic connectors both on the keyboard and on the iPad itself. And I've never experienced this until now.
I have been through 4 of them.
Yeah, it's those keyboards.
Go to the Apple store. You can't do.
When you
Get on support and see if they'll replace it for you just remotely. They might. Yeah, that's exactly how they fail.
I have some insider information too. I believe the Apple Store Woodfield is opening tomorrow.
Ah, beautiful.
There you go. Rush.
I have that same problem with the Magic Keyboard on my iMac Pro.
Really?
Lost connection, back connection. It like intermittently goes, so I'm not sure whether Bluetooth is fluctuating or something.
Where is your router? I know you and I had some router discussions. Where's your router? Is it nearby?
It's nearby.
Move the router.
Your connection. Those are probably the connections you have, right?
Jeff.
Jeff. Well, no, the ones on the strip. Yeah.
He's got the other one on the edge. The ones the older folding keyboard where they're on the bottom edge.
Yep.
And it fails. That bottom edge attaches and it fails in there all the time. Like I said, I think I was through 3 or 4 of them.
Wow. I've been lucky then because I've had this for 4 or 5 years now. So
they might still replace it. I don't know.
I've got an inside track.
Well, I said you of anybody has inside tracks. So you know who to talk to. So
you could go there tomorrow, Jeff, if you want.
Please wear a mask and maintain social distancing.
There you go.
For anybody who owns Apple stock, it went up today on the news, so that was good news for shareholders.
Right there. It's right there.
Well, after a worldwide developers conference, it always goes up.
Yeah, it's $366.53, up 2%. I'm a happy stockholder as well in my 401k.
As am I.
Me too.
All right. Well,
any stock I own is hidden in my 401k and in my IRA, so I have no visibility.
All right. Well, we've come to a close to the iPhone SIG this time. I hope everybody enjoyed everything. I think this is a great idea to have everybody open so you can turn on your mics. We can see your smiling faces. And the next main meeting will be on July 11th. The iPhone SIG probably will not be back until September, unless we decide to do something before then.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we're going to be looking at maybe taking a bit of a break because it's tough to do this grind of every other week and
we've been
enjoying it and I hope everybody here has been enjoying it. So what was that,
Dave? What's going to happen with Mac stock? I assume it's canceled this year.
Oh yeah, I'll kind of give you inside information about Mac stock. It's going to be a virtual conference this year. Mike is actively working on it. Mike Potter is actively working on something. So, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be free. So you'll be able to go online just like WWDC was. So more to come on that. We definitely will be advertising it and sending out email blasts and all of that. And I highly recommend if you have any questions, any issues with your membership with the club, anything you'd like to see, if you have some ideas of topics, just be sure to hit me up. Go into the community. That's the best place to go.
Yeah, get on the community, please.
Go in the community and emails. We're trying to cut down on emails. So I think everybody's enjoying the community. I'm happy. I've gotten better at being out there and participating and answering and a lot of good stuff. And if anybody listens to my podcast, In Touch with iOS, you saw my post. Please feel free to leave me a review. I think Al Varney, I appreciate your nice words. And I'm enjoying doing that. We'll have
Jeff has his hand up too.
Oh, I'm stay quiet, Jeff.
I'd like to remind everybody that we have the photography SIG,
photography SIG,
July
right. 15th. I got to get you on the calendar. And also, I'm still over you guys to put that video up on YouTube. I completely forgot to do
Frank
that.
has his hand up too.
Yeah. Do we have any non-member guests on this?
Tonight we did not. Doesn't look like. Elda Stone. I don't think she's a member.
Yeah.
Hi, Elda.
Hi, Elda. If you hear us.
Comment?
Yes,
I was gonna show something real quick here, Dave. I interrupted
Sure.
you, but let you finish. Randy, stay on.
Yeah, so just leave me a review. I appreciate that. And go ahead, Bob. And if you want to share something real quick, if anybody's
Yeah,
interested in seeing
it's 30 seconds.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Zoom. Preferences.
We see your screen.
Yes. General. Where is it? It went away. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Profile. See right here, Randy? Right there. That's where you
That's the
change it. Okay.
But he's on an iPad though. Don't forget it.
No, but he should be able to change it there or on the web. So anyway.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, I can't. I don't think I can do this while the Zoom app is active. I'm gonna, as soon as we close the session down, I'm gonna look, because that's
Yeah,
where
it's in your profile.
Yeah, but I can't get to it while we're using it, unfortunately.
Right. Yeah. I know you can't, but I was just going to show you where it was.
Yeah. No, I was gonna look when we are finished. Yeah.
So it wasn't
You can on a desktop, because I did it in the middle. I changed the profile.
So that's an advantage. Make sure you get something up there so that when you're turn your video off, you know who it is. You get a picture of yourself. Works pretty well.
Yeah.
About Mac stock, by the way, if you pre-registered, you would have gotten the email saying that anybody who has already paid, that will go on for next year.
Right. You'll get a credit for next year.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, guys. I hope everybody enjoyed it. And
last one quick question.
Yeah, sure.
Thanks, Dave.
Did they
Joe.
say on the conference that that you're going to be able to use your iPad for a dual display within Apple on your Mac?
Yeah, that isn't changing.
Yeah, you can do that right now.
You can do it right now with Sidecar.
With what?
Sidecar. That's what it's called.
It's an app. Is it?
It's built into the operating system.
Into Catalina.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Are you talking about just two displays on the iPad, Marcia?
No, I'm saying
extending your display.
Things from your Mac onto your iPad.
Absolutely. Yep.
Sidecar.
It's called Sidecar. It's built right into the Mac.
Yep. Okay.
All right, guys. Thanks everybody.
Thanks,
Dave. Thanks, Bob.
Good, Dave. Ciao.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank you.
Good to see everybody.
Dave, stay in for a sec.
Yeah, we'll stay on. I'm just going to stop the recording and turn off the live feed.